Welcome everyone to this second session of our intermediate training. I've got a technical difficulty here, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry about that. The first session of this is already on our website. We held this one a few weeks ago. If you go to QFloors.com and you log in, click training videos, and it's about halfway down the page, I believe, maybe a little farther. Intermediate training seminars. Make sure you're familiar with the basic trainings first. These are intermediate level topics and features. If you're new to QFloors, you definitely want to have a good handle on the basics of how to use the software first. I also want to point out, make sure you read and follow these steps up at the top here when you're watching one of our videos. Today we're going to be covering quite a few things, leads, invoices, products, just some features and functions in those areas. Nothing in particular, no particular sequence, just a handful of different functions and features that you can utilize there. First thing that I do want to mention is making backups of your database. When you're in QFloors, when you're in QFloors, you can make a backup of the database manually. Click File, click Backup. A little message just talking about the importance of making backups, and if you have QFloors High Performance, the backup must be performed while you're sitting at your server computer. And then you choose your location. What do you want to call it? Typically, I would just leave that file name as it is. If you're making multiple backups for whatever reason, maybe you put an A, B, or -1, -2 on the end of it before you click Save. But that's making a backup yourself manually. You'll want to do a backup manually before you run a critical update of ours. When you see an email from us that says you must make a backup before you do this, then this is what you'll do. Or if you're going to perform a particular function in QFloors that maybe if you're exporting data from your catalog and deleting and things like that, maybe you want to back up first in case you have a problem or make a mistake. But you want to make backups automatic. You want to have something in place that's automatic and daily. QFloors does not have that functionality within it. If you have QFloors Small Business or QFloors Basic, then it's pretty straightforward. Your network or computer tech can set up something that can copy the files and put them somewhere else. Make a backup. It's just a copy and paste type of function. We strongly recommend that somewhere else is not in your building. The backups should be regular. They should be off-site. There are backup services. We partner with a company, SACA Technologies, SACA Technologies. Their website is www.sacatech.com, SACATECH. They do a backup service for a very reasonable price, in my opinion. I've looked at other things. There are some free sites out there. If you do a web search for backups, automated backups, there are free ones out there. You just want to make sure you're comparing how much data can you back up and how much will it hold. The files to back up on your hard drive, the standard location is on your C drive, your local disk, in the QFloors folder. Now mine is set up a little differently. There you would see a data folder here. So in your data folder is where you would have your data files. Now again, I've got mine set up to run multiple things, so it's a little different than what you might see, but there's the two data files. QFloors L.db. If you have, if you're on an older version of QFloors Small Business, you haven't upgraded to 6.1 yet, it's QFloors A.mdb. This floors.key file can come along with it. That one in this case is not critical to come along with it, but the two together typically would get backed up. If it's QFloors High Performance, the backup for an automated backup, it has to be a script. That's some technical terminology. It's your computer tech would understand that. We do have instructions out in the application notes page of our website for how to create this script and files to back up. But that would back up just your QFloors data. You also want to back up, if you have QTools, you want to back up in the QTools folder. There's a data folder. You probably want to back up that entire folder. It's fairly large, and if you've purchased and used Document Manager, it could get extremely large in a hurry by posting and linking documents to invoices, especially images, pictures, and things. Those take up a lot of space. This can just be a straight copy and paste type of backup. We have had quite a few people call us asking if we have a backup of their data because their server crashed. That's pretty common, is the server hard drive crashing or the motherboard crashing. We have had a couple of people call saying computers were stolen, fire. There's been some catastrophes, and they didn't have a backup. And the time that it takes to recreate your data is phenomenal. I don't know the word. It is. There's so much time involved in trying to recreate even a week or two or three or a month. We've had people call with having to recreate 6 months, a year's worth of data, and it's just extremely difficult on your whole operation. Okay, diving into the QFloors features. One thing I want to point out before we dive into specific areas of the program is exporting. In each screen, you have a list window on the left-hand side, and you can do a search down at the bottom left here to see more or less. So if you generate a search and you want to send this to spreadsheet rather than printing it to paper, you can hold down the Shift key on your keyboard while you click the print button, and this typical Windows Save As window will open, and again you choose where and what you want to name it. And it saves it as a CSV file, which is a type of file that a spreadsheet can read. That can be pretty helpful if you're trying to generate reports and someone's asked or pointed out to remind everyone that you can add columns to the list. If you hold down the Shift key while you click one of the column headings, not the tabs, but click one of the column headings while you're holding down the Shift key, then you get this menu. And then you can add in by clicking one of the options. If it already has a check mark there, then it means it's somewhere in the list. Anything without a check mark can be added. So again, hold the Shift key, click one of the headings. You can let off the Shift key at that point, then click the option you want. I don't know that I would ever choose centered, left for text, right for dates and numbers, and then click OK, and there you've got another column. To take one out, it doesn't matter where you click. We can hold the Shift key and click way over here and take that one back out. So again, anything in the list, when you hold the Shift key while you click print, that will export. And then you can do sorting and do any formulas or functions in the spreadsheet with the data that's exported. Remember also, this is from our basic training, that you can do Control F as in find on your keyboard, Control F, to find items that are already in the list, or search through the items that are already in the list to find something. And so searching invoice header or invoice lines, you have options here. Which specific field do I want to search in, or search all of them? This works in all of the screens except for the employee subs. And also want to remind you that when you're searching in the checkbook, a check is a negative amount. So if you're searching for a dollar amount between X and Y, and it's a check that you're looking for, make sure you type it as a negative number. Okay, we'll start off today with talking about leads. There are some training videos about leads. Again, about halfway down the page, roughly, it talks about this up list, setting it up, checking out samples, an overview. We're going to give just a brief overview today. Setting it up under leads management. Everyone must log off the up list. We'll talk about this up list here in a moment. Do you want to log everyone off? You have to click yes if you want to get into this leads management setup. So activating the up list, the up meaning which salesperson is up next for the next person that calls or walks in. Are we going to use an up list at all? If a smaller operation, that probably isn't helpful or effective. A larger sales force, a larger showroom, many salespeople, then you might want to implement that. Must enter advertising, must enter looking for item. So when you're in the leads screen, let me go to the lead screen. Are we going to require, let's look at an existing lead here. Are we going to require sales staff to enter what is the customer looking for and what type of advertising brought them in? So we're going to require those or not. This lower section lists employees, salespeople, and you can indicate a goal here for them. For a particular location, you can see where some of them have a location name, some do not. And if you click on a person, you can enter a sales goal. See, we already have some entered. If you want a particular goal split among all of them, then you would select this box, type in your goal, and press enter. The sales goal amount is a monthly goal. And there are some reports that you can generate. Lead stats, sales goals. Based on those numbers, based on the leads that are entered, sales that are created. Watch those other training videos that goes into extensive detail about the leads and those reports. The lead is an opportunity. It's associated with a contact, a person or a business. The lead is not necessarily the person or the business. It's the opportunity for a sale. What brought that opportunity to us? Walk in, phone, internet, advertising. What is the person looking for? Did we win or lose the opportunity? We don't win or lose the person, of course. But did we get this sale? Did we get this opportunity or not? We've seen that smaller companies seems are kind of staying away from this. To me, that doesn't make sense a lot. This can be extremely helpful in growing your business and tracking things and what's bringing people to us, what advertising is working. Using this can be a great tool, a great asset to your company in building it and managing your sales force. From the lead, you can create a new invoice by clicking the invoice button. When you do that, it does change it to a 1. It assumes that you have won that lead. You can come back. I'm getting information here from Kevin that's saying we're changing that. And then okay, so if it's a proposal, then it won't automatically go to a 1 status. So that's a change that'll be coming soon. But so you can click the invoice button, and that will, I've got this at month to date, and it'll create an invoice using that contact information, and you fill in the rest of the blanks, save it either as a proposal or a live sale. Checking into leads, or the the up list, when if you're using the up list, then under Edit, Up Manager, your salesperson would click here and double click their name to log in. And when the up list is active, when you have salespeople logged in, then this quick view window down here, which really no one should be seeing the financial numbers down there other than a select few people in your organization. But this quick view window will then show the names of those who are logged on. It'll show 4 names at a time. The person on the far left is the next person up. Okay, any questions on that? That's just an overview of leads. I recommend using that, watching the videos, analyzing how that can help you. Call us if you want some training or some more explanation on how it can benefit you. The invoices screen, some features and functions in here. We're going to start with templates. This checkbox up here, clicking it makes the sale a template. It's as simple as that. A template makes it a cookie cutter. You can now copy information from this invoice to create a new sale. I think the most common use for this is when you have a builder or a property management company that's coming back to you regularly with the same floor plan. And so you can create an invoice and probably save it as a proposal that has the various flooring materials and quantities and costs that you've arranged and worked out for this customer. And then when they fax or call you with a new order, you can go find your template and create a new sale from it. The template would remain as a template. You're creating a new invoice from it. So let's work with one of these. I think we have we'll take this one. So we have an invoice here for a construction company, and we have a name over here of school. So if we're going to use this as a template, and if they're doing some homes that are the same floor plans and they're sending customers to you, or if they're coming to you themselves, we may want to set this ship to last name as a description. This is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath floor plan, or whatever you want to call it. Maybe they've got some specific terminology for it. If you need to, you can go farther and label it more as this is the carpet. Maybe it's a large project, and label even farther. This is this particular project, and here's the carpet. And do another template where it's the hard surface, anything like that. Otherwise, you might leave that blank. And then you fill out your line items. What are the materials? What are the quantities and pricing that you've arranged? You can go as far as setting up the options that the builder might give their home buyers. Maybe in the front room they can have some carpet, or maybe a higher quality carpet, maybe some hardwood on a different line, so you can set up the different options. And then when you receive notice that there's a new sale, here's a particular floor plan, you can search for templates in your status field at the bottom here, templates, and it lists all of them. And if you have the ship to last name column added in, you can spot the one you're looking for, or you can do Control F and search for it if you have a lot of templates. Search your header. Find the one you're looking for, select it. If there were options in the body of your invoice and you need to select one or more options, then holding the Shift key down while you click the line number will do that. You can either select the one you want, or maybe clicking tells that that's the one you don't want. I'll show you how you get the ones that you've selected here in a moment. So hold the Shift key, click a line number, scroll down, click other lines. When the template option is selected and you click the New button, we select the template type. So here's where you can tell the QFloors, do you want the lines that you clicked or the ones that you did not click? So we'll go with selected lines. Or you can type in, I want lines such and such. I want lines 1, 3, separating these by commas. And you click the OK button. Here's a new invoice, no invoice number yet, we haven't saved it, and it has only the lines that we selected. And then you can make any changes from here. Maybe there's a different color that was selected for this particular project. Add in your comments, make any changes you need to. Change your ship to name, where's the property address at, anything you need there. And then save it, and that's a new sale. Another option, another function in the invoices screen. I'm going to delete the quantity here on this line to show this is quick estimate. When you're creating your invoice line and you get to this quantity field, you have a quick estimate option here. If you select that and press the Enter key on your keyboard, then in here you can indicate room or stairs and then room sizes. Press Enter. There's room 1. Maybe we've got a hallway. We want to run the materials vertically. Leaving it unchecked assumes that the carpet will be run left to right, east-west. And then you click the Calculate button. And we get this little report window. And it shows you based on those room sizes you entered. Room 1, there's the room size. You need materials 12 by 24 feet 2 inches, 290 feet. Here's your various cuts and some waste, and some of the waste can be used in other rooms. And down at the bottom shows you your totals. That's the total size that we would need. What amount of waste? Well, what if we ran it vertically if we could? And calculate again. We can look at that one, see if that's going to work. I'm no estimator by any stretch, but I know that there's where window placements and doors and things cannot even run that direction, but you can type your room sizes in differently. Maybe if you typed it in 18 by 13 to run it a different direction for that one room, then maybe that would work. But once you've got the report that you want, you can print it, of course, and if you click this Use button, then it will fill in the QFloors invoice line over here, the quantity, with the total that it's estimated. Cuts list. We're going to look at the cuts list in detail here in a little while. I'm going to say yes, we want to add these cuts to the cut list. So it filled in our quantity. So quick estimate. Doesn't do anything graphic. There's no floor plan drawings. It's just you type in your room sizes and let it do some of the math for you. If we refresh this invoice, click the invoice in the list here, we see letter C on that line number. That's for cuts. If we double click that, it opens this cut window and it's showing the different cuts that were needed for that room. Room numbers. You can change the comments if you need to. Press enter and save the comment. When you print a work order, those cuts will show on the work order. You can add cuts to a line manually. Let's go to a different invoice here. Not sure what I have going here. We'll take this one. That's delivered. We'll take this one. There we go. So to do cuts manually, the invoice has to be saved. If you're creating a new invoice, you have to save it first. Then double click the line number and the cut window opens. And if we need a 12 by 67 total, we can say, well, we want a cut that's 12 by 15, enter, and add a comment. I didn't click add cut, I'm sorry. That's cut number 1. The balance remaining is now cut number 2. We can give it a size. And add that cut. And you just keep going. You can add your last comment, save at the end, close it. The letter C doesn't show up right away. If you refresh that invoice or you go away to a different invoice and come back to this one, it'll show there. And again, you can double click, see those, edit them, delete cuts, change your comments. And then when you print a work order, we need to come back to our first one here. Let's do this. We don't have enough inventory. Now we do. When we print a work order, there's your cuts. Okay. You can enter payments for multiple invoices. in the payment window, you click the All Invoices button, and then QFloors shows you the ship to name for all the sales for that particular customer, the invoice that you're on already. And you can type in a check amount. Now I don't have got quite a lot there we can do, so we'll just say we've got a $10,000 check, our check number. And then selecting an invoice, QFloors reads the total from that invoice, and you can allow it to take that amount. If there's some retainage, if the vendor is holding back a certain amount, you can type that in as a percentage. Say again. There we go. Good thing Kevin's here. So we have to reselect it, and then that retainage applies. So, and then click the next one. Sorry, let's scroll over here, and we see here's the actual payment. And we have $8,200 remaining. If we click another invoice, then shows us again the total minus the retainage. You can change the payment amount there if you need to. But as you keep clicking invoices, we're overpaid if we apply the whole thing. So if we delete that and hit enter, it'll tell us we have $413.95 that we can apply. And there we've applied the whole check with retainage. And then click Add Payments. Print a report. Let's have a look at that. Kind of a simple report, but there's a list of the invoices and the payments. Okay. Let's see. Another function that we can show you here in the invoices screen has to do with the tax. This is not something for everyone. A couple of things you can do here. If you have a change in your sales tax rate and you are working with an invoice that started in a prior period, a period prior to that tax change, and you make a change, it will change your tax amount on that invoice based on the new tax setup. If you need to switch that back, you can double right click in the tax box and then change it. But if you come back and make another change to that invoice, it will revert to the rate that's in effect at the time. Another thing that you can do is right-click the tax cost and plug in a tax rate. That's probably easier. If there is a tax change, you know the old rate was 6.75, and click OK, then you can change it that way. But again, you make a change to the invoice, it's going to revert to the tax rate that's in effect at the time of the change. Changing that sales tax amount, or in the retail side here, it also works for I don't have any installed jobs. Here we go. This miscellaneous amount. If you're using the miscellaneous option, you're in a use tax state. If that's not familiar to you, then you don't need to worry about that. But if you're in use tax, then you can set your miscellaneous charge rate, and maybe a customer isn't happy with seeing some miscellaneous amount. Your explanation that you have printed on your invoice form doesn't seem to satisfy them. I don't think I would want to lose a sale over it. You can double right click and change that to a lesser amount, change it to 0. That's a completed sale, but that would work. Okay, the total function, this total button on the invoice. Here we go. I have to undo a couple of these. Okay, this total function has a few different options here. If you want to change your invoice total to a specific dollar amount, what the software is going to do is look at each invoice line total as a percentage of the existing total and get that percentage, that ratio, and then apply that percentage to the total that you type in here and change the line accordingly. You can also use a gross margin. Maybe we want a 45% margin. And it's the gross margin before commission, not the net margin after commission. Okay, we're getting a message the invoice subtotal has been locked. Make sure you want to continue to save. We'll say yes. What that's referring to is when you start making changes in here, it locks that subtotal so that it can't change. If you have used this total function to plug in a total and then you make changes to the invoice, you may not want that subtotal to change at all. If we're making changes on the invoice by typing in some material that maybe we left off, some supplies of some sort, and we type in a quantity here, and if it were to kick out a price for us of some sort, we may not want that total to change. And yet it just did. There's a warning, sorry. So it warns us that, are you sure you want to make that change or not? We can click no, and then we can come back and catch our mistake that we allowed it to keep a price. Delete that out. So that's the total option on the invoice. Pretty handy feature for certain scenarios. When you're printing a work order, we looked earlier at selecting lines to for the template. You can also select lines for printing on a work order or excluding them from a work order. Holding the Shift key, selecting lines, or if you just let off the Shift key and click the line number again, let's reserve that. By the way, a work order will only print lines that have a ready status, an on order status, and a labor only status. So if we hold the Shift key down, click a line number, click print, then we get this question here: which lines do we want? Only the one line or all the other lines? So this way I'm saying I'm excluding that particular line. We could have selected the other two and chosen this option here. Then we'll get just a partial work order. The partial work order, when it prints, if there's labor on that line, then it will print only the labor for the lines that you've told it to print. Here we've got labor on this first line. If we had some labor down here, and we select this line and this line, then when we print that partial work order, this labor up here, the 450 labor cost, will not print out for the installer to see. It will only print the $20 cost here. You can also select lines when printing an invoice. When you do that, the totals at the bottom of the invoice printout, it only shows the subtotal. It doesn't show any miscellaneous charge or tax or total or payments or balance, just the subtotal with the letter P next to it, meaning it's partial. So it's not for partial billing. It's not really for partial invoicing of a customer to show any taxes and things like that. But you can print a partial invoice that way. Okay, moving on to products. A few features in here that we want to look at. First is this adjustment and reserve. If you click that option, you can reserve some of this product without creating an invoice. As you know, if you have an invoice saved as a proposal, you cannot hold materials for a customer when it's in a proposal status. So if a customer's shopping around, they'd like you to hold it, you've written up the invoice to give them an estimate of price, but they're asking you to hold it, you can reserve some quantity. You can select from your customer accounts, or you can type in a name. Reserve for how many, that should say hours. How many hours are we going to hold this for them? There's a setting under setup, the miscellaneous setup. You can define what's the maximum number of hours that I'll allow my salespeople to put something on hold. You can change this to a lesser amount, but not a greater amount. And you click the OK button, and then that shows a line in here, a reserve line. And when that time period passes, that line drops out. It goes away. But at least now, when someone else is selling perhaps the same inventory, maybe wants to select the same piece of inventory, the balance available for sale will be less because we are holding it as if we had created an invoice and selected it. You can also adjust product quantities If you participated in the end of period procedures webinar, or if you've watched that video, if you looked at the end of period procedures document for reconciling your inventory, you've seen that this is an important part of that. To reconcile your inventory, you go count what's physically available, and then if there's a discrepancy, QFloors says you have a physical balance of 2904 square feet. We have 2900 even. We're going to adjust out 4 square feet. Any comment? You can backdate the adjustment. If you want to put that into a prior year, maybe here we are in February, and we're just now taking our inventory count to reconcile our inventory, preparing our 2012 financials, and if you want this adjustment dated back in 2012, you can backdate it. And that shows an adjustment line in your history section, this green detail history. Shows who made the adjustment, who's logged into QFloors at the time, and what was the note that they typed in. What's the accounting date they posted it for. The adjustment to the general ledger balance for that does not occur if there's no bill attached, if the product is not linked to a bill. The same with changing a product to a gone status. If we move it to gone and there's some physical quantity remaining, QFloors will make an accounting adjustment only if the product is linked to a bill. If you do an adjustment, QFloors will make an accounting adjustment only if the product is linked to a bill. Clean up stock. This is another part of reconciling your inventory. I would do this maybe once or twice a month. I don't think it's critical to do it too frequently. You can do it as often as you like, of course. Change the inventory to gone status if the item has been assigned to a bill. The assumption here is I don't want it to my gone list if I haven't received and posted the payable yet. So change it when or if the item has been assigned to a bill and the physical balance is less than or equal to whatever you type in here. Now you'll need to run this procedure 4 times. Once for all of your items that are in the software measured at lineal feet. Run it again for all the each unit items, square foot and square yard. So if we click Start Procedure, if you see some details down here, you know it found something. There, we found something. So it shows a little detail. It doesn't show you the product, it just shows a little detail here. And as I understand it, as I view it, if it's 0 and it's linked to a bill, I'm okay with all of it. I'm going to click Change All. I don't necessarily need to change one and have it go and show me the next one and show me the next one and change them one by one. You can skip one, of course, but for me, Change All. And then you switch to another unit of measurement. And I don't have much in this demo that it can work with, obviously. And then we're done. And it moved those to your gone list. They don't disappear into thin air, they just change of status to move them into this list here out of the way. So when you're doing an invoice and you look at this list here, like this is very long, a lot of 0 items, these probably are not attached to bills. Otherwise it would have caught them. Another function in the product screen that is very helpful is partial receiving. If we have here's some laminate that we've ordered, 22 feet 3 inches, roughly 3 inches, 0.24, 22.24 square feet per box. Remember, on your hard surface products, the width is a square feet per carton for field tile, your planks, laminate, and wood. The length is the number of cartons. So we show that we ordered 24 cartons. For this particular order, it was for this customer, and in fact the whole thing, the lineal feet on that sale, 24, we sold all 24 cartons to this customer. When we select that and finalize receiving, and we say what date did it come in, partial receiving, we only received 20 boxes. If I type 20 in here, it's assuming 20 square feet. I'll probably make this easy and switch it to the lineal portion. How many boxes? I received 20 boxes. I could get out a calculator, 22.24 times 20 cartons, and enter it as square feet. We click the OK button. What's going to happen in the background is this. It's going to take product number 421 and move it to a stock status and change it to the quantity received. And it will also make an exact copy of this, give it the next product number in line. It might be product number 500 something. It'll keep the same PO number, same reference number. So here's our stock product, number 421 in the stock list, on order. Here's the other 4 boxes. What happened to our invoice line? If we double click this line down in the detail here, it'll take us to that invoice. We see the word split. It assigned both of those to the job. In fact, there was actually a split already. I wasn't aware of that. So there's actually more product already assigned to that line. So this split function is something we looked at in our basic training, if you haven't watched those. We have a comment here pointing out that whoever's doing your entering the bills, your bookkeeper, they can do that. Okay. What Kevin's pointing out is a pretty common scenario that we will get a phone call. Someone will call, someone that enters the bills calls and says, I have a bill here for a quantity that's less than the product. So what that means is the person doing the receiving didn't do the partial receiving. So what you can do is go find that product, change it back to an on-order status manually, and then do the partial receiving. That way you can enter the bill by selecting one of the products that you're getting billed for at the time, and that leaves the other one when you receive the bill for the remaining portion. You have another product that you can link up there. That way every product is attached to a bill. It's very important that products are attached to bills. We've kind of pointed out some things here. Accounting entries happen when you move things to gone or make adjustments. Being able to link, doing the split, the partial receiving so you can link products to bills is critical for that part. Make sure that you're linking your products to your bills. Just quickly, when you're creating a sale and you select the inventory account on a line, make sure you select the product. You're selecting it in here typically by typing in the PO number that you gave when you first ordered it. Press enter, then the software fills out the rest of the line. Okay, that's all we're going to cover today. Next time we're going to look at some functions in the bill screen and checkbook screen, employee. We're going to look at more on the bookkeeping side of things, functions and features that are new, that are intermediate level, advanced level that weren't covered in the basic training seminar. Are there any other questions, any comments that we're getting here at the end? Okay. Of course, you can call us if you do have questions, email us, and we're happy to help. Thank you again for participating today. We really appreciate all of you joining in and your comments and questions and all of your support for QFloors software.